Okay, where we left off last time is we were able to build the function, and now we can call discrete separate pieces of the function, for instance, this Lightbox. Okay, but one of the things that you might notice is that the title of the gallery still has underscores and forward slashes, and that's just not going to work out very well if we want to literally be able to use that to announce the gallery. So let's just jump back over to our script and let's look at what's going on there. So scroll up and find where it's being announced, and you'll see that in the generate thumbnail section we have an H2 that's echoing out the target gallery. Well, the problem with the target gallery is that it doesn't actually strip anything with underscores, dashes. It doesn't get rid of the forward slash. But there is something that we could use instead. If you look at, scroll back to the very top, you could find the thing that you're typing, which gallery. Okay, remember that's the thing that we would type in that would find our directory path, and that would be like, it still would have an underscore, but at least it wouldn't also have this forward slash that target gallery has. So we could use which gallery to create a filtered variable down below. We could call it title or something, and we can put it just underneath where we're creating our filtering arrays. So let's go down here below that. And I'm just going to go ahead and paste this, and I'm going to explain so you don't have to watch me type. So I put a comment here that says we're going to create a title variable for of the album to use for the image gallery info below. So title is going to equal, and let's just start with what's inside of it first. First of all, pretend like we don't have the UC words on it, and let's just say that we've got this part. What we're going to do is we're going to use which gallery variable, and we're going to use a string replacement on it so that we're looking for anything that is inside of the characters array, which in this case is a dash or a forward slash, or excuse me, a dash or an underscore. We're going to find any instance of characters inside of which gallery, and we're going to replace it with a space character. And you can see this is a string that has a space in it. And so that's what this string replacement is doing, is it's basically stripping out the underscores and the dashes, replacing it with a space. And then after that, we're going to run it through the UC words filter so that we can capitalize the words. Okay, and so now what we have is a new title variable that is stored, and we can come down here and we can use it in the appropriate places. So if we go back down to our Lightbox, you'll see where it's saying, actually in a couple of places. For one thing, we can say right here where we're echoing the gallery, target gallery out, we can change that now to title and that H2. We can also change it down here where it says data Lightbox, and we can change that to title as well. Okay, and you can save that, and we could do a test of it. Let's do refresh, and you see now it says content management instead of content underscore management forward slash. Okay, and if we were to click on this, we're still good. Okay. All right, so there's that. Now that that little thing is taken care of, it might also be nice, instead of just having a Lightbox choice, a background image or a random image, it might be nice if we also had a carousel, like a slider. And to do that, there are a number of different carousel sliders that you could use, but one of the ones that I think is pretty nice, I'm going to show you. If you go to Google and you type in the word cycle 2 and then plugin, it's going to be probably the first hit, where you get cycle 2 jQuery plugins by mouse up. Okay, so we're going to go to that link, and this is a great plugin that is really very extendable and configurable, and it's open source and it's free, and it's very simple to use. What I would recommend is that to look at the demos, you can right click on this demo link and then open that in a new tab. Unfortunately, as good as the plugin is, he doesn't have global navigation. And we're going to look for, there are a lot of different examples. First of all, I guess let's start off with just the basic demonstration. And you can see kind of the way that his documentation works. And so it's just a basic slider. There are no captions, no controls. And generally, you know, you want to at least give somebody captions, or you want to give them controls or whatever. But and he shows you like the code that you would use. This is just the basic stuff. And then and he explains that the cycle slideshow is the class name that tells you how to what's initializing a slideshow, and he gives you some different setting options. For instance, how you can change it for the different kind of like scrolling effect, or if you want to pause on hover, you see it says paused up here. You can change the speed and so forth. So that's just the basic one. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to show you, and there are a lot of different ones here, but we're going to start off with the overlay. Okay, so I'm going to show you the overlay method, and you'll see like that you can get this overlay right here. Okay, and then the other thing that's pretty nice is that he actually gives you this demo slideshow CSS so that you have a starting place and then you can modify it from there. But you don't have to sort of reinvent the wheel. You can at least start with his demo CSS. And then you can also, you know, do custom other stuff like where it shows the number of slides and so forth. But we're going to do pretty much the basic one. And what's happening here is he shows you how to do this one below that's just got the basic captions. He shows you the div information that you start with, okay, and then this empty slideshow div for the cycle overlay. And what that is going to do is it's going to be empty at first, but when the JavaScript fires, it's going to populate this div with information, and the style sheet will style it so that it is going to sit in an overlay. And then the next thing that you would have that would go inside of this larger div here is you just have image, 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 image. Okay, so you can't put it inside of lists, you can't put it inside of divs, you can't put these individual images in. If you want to do that, there is another way of dealing with it. Let me go back here. And you can look under non-image slides. There's some other things that you can do too, but we're not going to get into that just for the demo purposes. After you get this this done and you decide, you know, then if you want to go and do something fancier, then I recommend going and experimenting separately. But for now, if you want to just follow the demonstration, it might be a little bit better. So what you can do to start off is let's just take this whole thing. I'm just going to take all of this, I'm going to copy it. I'm going to come back to my script here. And one of the things you'll notice is that right now there's no place to put it. Well, if we were to do something where we ended up creating another section, so instead of generating thumbnail gallery, we're going to do another case after the break that is for a slideshow, well, we could do that. So I'm going to come down here after this last break, and I'm going to do a case for, I'm just going to call it slideshow. You can call it whatever you want, carousel or whatever. And then just to go ahead here, and I'm going to end my PHP just below here. And I'm going to start it back up again down here. Like this. And then just for right now, inside of this case, I'm going to paste all of that HTML, and we're going to do something with it here in just a second. And I'm going to make this really clear so that it's obvious that that is nested inside of this div. And the other thing that's missing right now, and right now all we've got are this just hard-coded with his stuff in here, with his pictures and his titles. The other thing that we're missing is we're missing the JavaScript file that he has made, and we're also missing the CSS as well. So if we want to come up here and load that, we can. So let's go and grab that. Now, one thing that you'll notice is that if we are calling these things separately, then the problem is that the jQuery that was loaded up here right here isn't being loaded right now. Potentially it's not being loaded here when we call it, because remember we're able to call these discretely in separate places. So for right now, I'm going to go ahead and load that jQuery there. Now this is going to potentially be a problem later. You really shouldn't load a jQuery library multiple times in a single file. So if you were to call this function multiple times in one file, maybe for one thing you want to do, in one place you want to have a Lightbox, and another place you want to have a slideshow, well, this would be a problem. We'll figure out how to deal with that later. So, but right now, just go ahead and put that there so that it'll actually work. And then now what we need is we need the script file for the plugin. So let's go back over here, and I still have my original page open, and he's got this download link. And if you look here, you click on download, and he's got the production version, and you click on it, and what you can do is you can just go select all, copy it, and then if we go back over to our scripting editor, I'm going to create a new file, and it's going to be JavaScript, and let's get rid of that. I'll paste it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to save it, and I'm going to save it in my JS folder for my project, or for my demonstration, and I'm going to call this cycle2.js. And you could call it cycle2.min. Let's do that, .min.js, because it's the production version. We'll save that. And I can close it. And now what I can do is make a reference to that. So if I go to my script, I can paste that. And now, instead of loading jQuery a second time, we're going to load the cycle2.min.js plugin that we just saved in our folder. Okay? And the next thing that I can do after this is I can make the reference to that CSS file. Okay, to get the CSS file, we have to go back. And if you go back to your cycle overlay page and you scroll down, you see he says, see the demo slideshow CSS. Okay, and so if you want, again, you can do this where you can select all, copy it, and then we'll go back over to the scripting editor. We're going to do a new file again. This time it's going to be a CSS file. And I'm going to paste everything there. And it's got all of these things that you can use. They're automatically going to apply to the stuff that we're using in the HTML. So I'm going to save this. And I'm going to save this in my CSS folder, and I'll call this cycle2.css. Okay, and so now if I go back to my test page, I can actually add my CSS link. So we'll do link, and I'm just going to paste this so you don't have to watch me type. And then so we've got the href to the CSS folder, and then to our cycle2.js file. Excuse me, it's not supposed to be JS, it's supposed to be CSS, my fault. Okay, so CSS/cycle2.css, and then the relationship is that it's a style sheet. Okay, so that's the link to our CSS, and so now the last thing that we need is we need to break the case because we don't have a break down there. So I'm just going to copy this break from our last switch case. I'm going to come down here below the last ending div tag, and I'll just paste that there. And let's save it, and let's see how this looks on the page. Okay. Oh, and then the other thing I need to do actually is I need to come down here and change it from Lightbox to Slideshow so that we can make sure that it's actually calling the right case. Let's go here, hit refresh, and it is in fact working. It's doing his Lightbox, and it's working out just fine. And you'll notice also that this is a responsive slider, which is good. Okay, so in the next video, I'm going to show you how you can substitute your own images and titles and so forth into this framework using the loop.